So last night I was catching up with Jake Ganz from Studio Yota, and if you haven't heard of them before, do a Google search because they've done some really fantastic animation on some things that you might be familiar with. And Jake is a guy that I knew many years ago when I was kind of starting to get like some traction with my name on Newgrounds, and we were talking about Newgrounds and kind of like its place in history on the internet and kind of what it's done for a lot of other content creators and game developers and animators, etc. And so I thought, you know what, Newgrounds is really important to me, and it's it's done a lot for me throughout the last several years, and I thought it might be a good topic for a vlog. So I'm going to go into a little bit of my history with Newgrounds. So I actually first found Newgrounds through, of all people, not the character, obviously, but the person that Nylock from TOME is based on originally. This kid that I went to school with named Colin. He was looking through a lot of different webcomics at the time. This was like early high school, maybe late middle school. and through one of them, which was a comic that was on Fireball 20XL, it was called The Rogues Gallery, he found a little Flash cartoon on Newgrounds that this guy Alan Sullivan did. And I watched that, and it was really funny, and then I kind of expanded outward from there. Prior to this, I had kind of gotten into Homestar Runner, so I was familiar enough with Flash animation. I'd seen some like Joe cartoon, like the hamster in the blender or whatever it is, or no, the frog in the blender. And then when I found Newgrounds, I started kind of looking around, and my earliest influences, I think I mentioned this on the origin of the Nintendo collab. There was the Zerbs brothers, John and Richie, which they did Perfect Kirby. There was Legendary Frog, Joseph Blanchett, of course, and there was Joe Anime, and the Super Flash brothers who did the Decline of Video Gaming. A lot of people like that, and I'm trying to remember exactly what it was that drove me to. No, I do remember. Before ever doing any Flash stuff. I think I'd also mentioned before I'd done like some PowerPoint slideshows, like not really animations or whatever, but just little, quote unquote movies that looked like complete ass. And I was doing a lot of those, and as I was seeing all this stuff with Newgrounds, I was like, oh, I wanna do stuff like this. So that's when I picked up Flash, and I started doing the original TV Tome adventures in about 2004 or so, and that was how I began. And that was my first like big project. I'd done a couple little minor things before that as well, like other little attempts of shitty Flash movies. But TTA was the first thing I did that had any sort of traction at all. And then Parody Rangers was the first big thing that kind of got my name out there, because that was what hit the Newgrounds front page, and people were taking notice to it, and it was pretty cool. And I was really happy about that. And then from there, I want to say, oh yeah, okay. So 2007, I graduated high school, and I finished the Parody Rangers trilogy as I was kind of going into college, and then that was when I wrote the movie, and I was starting to meet a lot more people from the sort of Newgrounds community, and became friends with a lot of them, including Jake. Jake was just like, he was just a kid that was fun to converse with and talk about animation and whatever for hours on Skype. That's kind of how we got to know each other. And flash forward to now, he's founded Studio Yota, and they've been doing really well for themselves, and getting a lot of decent animation freelance work on some cool stuff. And they're all working on Skullgirls and things as well. So, and on that same note, it's really cool to see how a lot of people that kind of not originated from, but got like their big start on Newgrounds specifically. Have really kind of like kind of petered off and started doing their own thing, and have garnered pretty big followings for themselves. A lot of people, I remember specifically, like kind of in that area of like 2007, 2008 or so, I was meeting a lot more people who who would later be go on to be like million subscriber count guys, between people like Happy Harry and Chris O'Neill, and then other guys like Hans von Harken and El-Cid, who I later went on to meet. Just a ton of them, and then like Psychic Pebble showed up, Red Minus, just a lot of people. Hot Diggity Demon, I'm gonna forget people, so I apologize. Yeah, it's just really interesting because like all of them, they started doing like a lot of different really unique things on Newgrounds, and and then when YouTube kind of became like a little bit more of a lucrative, route for business for content creators, a lot of people just kind of eventually moved to that and started forming their own sort of individual communities and followings based off of their own work, which I think is, ultimately kind of how it has to go to, sell yourself as a brand. So it makes sense, but it's a shame that Newgrounds unfortunately kind of got left in the dust. And now I don't say that with any sort of disdain either. I still love Newgrounds, and I think that Newgrounds is a place for a lot of people to still kind of get their start. And the reason I say that is because it's what I've always kind of described Newgrounds as, and what I still hold to it, is that it's freedom for all things creative. Newgrounds is from what I understand from anybody I've ever talked to about it, it's most known for its cartoons, which is also kind of a shame because in tandem with that, a lot of people are like, oh, Newgrounds is like got a lot of like shitty stuff on it. It's so lame and like it's just like porn and whatever and like shock value. It's like, no, there's a lot of really good stuff on Newgrounds, and there always has been a lot of really good stuff on Newgrounds. But just like anything else, you got to wade through a lot of crap to find the good stuff. And I would say that that's really the case for YouTube too. Like, let's look at how much stupid shit is on YouTube, but there's, you can find really good stuff if you like go looking for it, and then you can just subscribe to them and then get all the good stuff from that one person, and etc. And the thing is, Newgrounds is, if you really know Newgrounds, it's a creative portal for anything, for animation, for games, for music, for artwork. Even for like voice performers and stuff. Like it's open and available for anything and everybody, no matter what they want to do. And I think that there's something really special about that. And I think that a lot of people were asking before, in lieu of the last vlog I did about when you have interest in getting into animation or whatever, any sort of content creation or artistic stuff. Newgrounds is a good place to start because you can really that's the perfect kind of place to just put something out there, and it might get some notice, because what's nice is that they have the front page obviously for promoting stuff that deserves getting notice, and there's still people I think now who are building somewhat of a viewership for themselves off of it, and even though YouTube has become the better one for money making and kind of building almost a career out of it if you play your cards right. I think that Newgrounds represents something like on the internet that is like really, really unique and important. And I think that it also still has a place. Some people are like, oh, Newgrounds should just die out or whatever, or they think they're like, oh, it has died out. It's completely irrelevant now. And I don't really think that that's true. Maybe there's other purposes that it could be utilized for specifically, but I think that what it's done for the internet in general, and what it's done for a lot of great content creators that you probably are subscribed to and are a fan of if you're listening to this thing from me. I think that it's still something that's really important, and I want to still see it flourish. And I owe them a lot. I owe them a lot for where I came from and where I got my start, and even all the way up to doing TOME. I mean, Tom Fulp and his crew was they were very gracious enough to sponsor the first 4 episodes of TOME to give me a little bit of a budget to work with. Not something major, of course, but something to split between me and the people who were helping me out, which was fantastic. And and all their staff has also obviously been very helpful to me. You've seen them in special thanks of everything. People like Johnny Utah and Mike Welsh. Mike in particular, who created Swivel, which has just saved my ass numerous times. Yeah, I mean, it's really cool. It's really admirable, and I really still truly appreciate Newgrounds for what it is. One thing actually, and Rice Pirate is another person who's definitely come out of that, and I'm glad I'm remembering him because he made a good point as well. I wish that other websites, especially YouTube, would adopt the ad revenue split system that Newgrounds has, because God, that was just so easy for me to split the earnings of anybody and everybody who worked on TOME with me. They had the ability to split up the ad revenue that would be made from a movie between everybody on the crew. And it was really cool, and I wish that YouTube and other sites would adopt something like that, because, God, it would just be so convenient for people, like, really. So I love Newgrounds. I think it still has a place on the internet, and I'm hoping to see that it continues to still flourish in some way, shape, or form. And obviously the behemoth is still producing great games and stuff like Battle Block Theater and Castle Crashers and all that. So I'm looking forward to seeing what else they have in store too. So tell me in the comments below, do you have any fun experiences with Newgrounds? Do you have any fond memories of doing stuff on there? Were you part of the community? Have you submitted stuff there before? Have you garnered any sort of a following? Were you able to get some basic training doing stuff on there? Tell me your thoughts. Share with me your memories of working and doing stuff on Newgrounds, if you have any. And if you haven't, please go check out Newgrounds. And a lot of my stuff is on there. I actually just today I submitted TOME episode 9 to the portal there. I think that's actually going to be the last episode of TOME that I put up on Newgrounds, and episode 10 and the remaining short number 7, which will be out soon. Are going to be on the website. And speaking of which, my next vlog will be on my birthday, December 31st. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do about that one, but yeah, that's going to be my last one for the year, and then I'm going to be going to MagFest, so I'll be doing a couple of vlogs ahead of time for the weekend that I'll be away. But yeah, so thanks again for listening. Share with me your thoughts in the comments. You can tweet, Facebook me, and Tumblr me, etc. Like the video if you enjoyed, and give me a subscribe if you want to see more. And have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.